Alright, hey guys, OmniGamer here and I'm back with another video, and this video is going to be a bit different because in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys a bunch of games I bought recently that I've actually just never shown you before. So these are all games that I purchased either through eBay or Amazon that I bought over the last couple of months since January that I've literally never shown off in videos before. Some I've actually tweeted about on my Twitter, but quite a lot I haven't. So in this video, I decided that I would show you guys all the games that I brought over the last few months that I've just never shown you before, because I brought a bunch of games online. And quickly before we begin, I will be excluding a few games from this video because I already showed them before in a previous video. So like for example, the true crime games that I brought in January, so Streets of LA for PS2 and New York City for both GameCube and Xbox. Those won't be included in this video because I've already shown them before in my true crime game collection video. But other than that, everything I've brought online since January will be included in this video. You know, all of my recent game purchases, other than those true crime games, will all be featured in this video. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get straight into the games. So I'm going to show these off in order of when I got them. So we're going to start with the games I bought in January, in February, March, etc. So let's start things off with a game I purchased around mid-January time, Tony Hawk's Project 8 for the PSP. Now this is a game I already own on multiple different platforms. I actually own this game for both the PS2 and the Xbox 360. But the reason why I got the PSP version was because, well, A, I wanted another Tony Hawk game to add to my collection, and this was one that I never owned before, at least this particular version. And B, it was the only other Tony Hawk for PSP that I didn't own. Because like the PSP only had two Tony Hawk games, this and Underground 2 Remix. I've got Underground 2 Remix, and I've had that game for many years actually. But Project 8 I never actually owned before until just a few months ago. But and I find it weird actually that the PSP only had just those two games. Like American Wasteland, which was released in between Underground 2 and Project 8, never got a PSP release for some reason, which I find quite strange. And also Proving Ground as well. Proving Ground never got a PSP release. But Project 8 did, and yeah, this version of the game is pretty much identical to the PlayStation 2 version. I believe it was even made by the same developers. And so it's very similar to like the 7th gen versions of the game, but obviously like the graphics aren't as good, and it's missing a few bells and whistles, but it's still Project 8 at the end of the day. And yeah, and I brought it pretty much for the collection. It didn't really cost me a whole lot. This only cost me about 4 or 5 quid. I don't remember the exact price, but it was fairly cheap. In fact, this particular copy that I brought was actually the cheapest one on eBay at the time when I brought it. And yeah, it is complete. I'll show you real quick. There it is, the UMD right there and the manual. And yeah, it's also nice to buy another PSP game. You know, the PSP is a system that I literally never collect for. Before I brought this, the last time I brought any game for the PSP was about 2 years prior, at the start of 2020, when I brought Hatsune Miku Project Diva. And before that, the last PSP game I got before that was in like 2016, I think, with Dynasty Warriors. So yeah, that's that, Project 8 for PSP. And then the next game we have here is another Tony Hawk game, and this is also another one which I also own for multiple platforms, but this particular version of the game I actually wanted for quite a long time. And that is the original Xbox version of Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. Now, just like with Project 8, I already previously owned two versions of this game. I own this game for the PS2 and the Xbox 360, but the reason why I wanted the original Xbox version was because this, as well as Project 8, were the only two Tony Hawk games for that system that I didn't own before. I own like literally all the others, even the North American exclusive Pro Skater 2X, I've even got that. But American Wasteland and Project 8, the original Xbox versions, I didn't have before, and I really wanted to get both of them just so I could complete my Tony Hawk collection on that system. And so, yeah, I brought American Wasteland from Amazon actually. I still need to get Project 8. This was around about the same price as Project 8 was on PSP, so around about 4 or 5 quid. Again, I don't remember exactly how much I paid for it, but it wasn't a whole lot. And yeah, and I got this from Amazon rather than eBay because I found a copy that was actually cheaper on Amazon than any of the ones that were sold on eBay at the time. So yeah, so I brought this solely just for the collection. If I really want to play American Wasteland again, you know, I've got the Xbox 360 version, which is obviously a lot superior. I bought this literally just for the collection, and once I get Project 8 for the original Xbox, then I've got every Tony Hawk game for that system. So yeah, and to quickly show you, it is complete, as you can see right there. And yeah, there it is, American Wasteland for the OG Xbox. I think this version does work on the 360, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it does. I think it might be backwards compatible, but honestly, like, what's the point? Because this game did get a 360 release, it was a 360 launch title. So honestly, what's the point of playing the Xbox version of the 360? You know, it just doesn't make sense. Alright, and then next up we have another game here, which I bought at the same time as American Wasteland on Xbox, and I also got this from Amazon as well. Sean Palmer's Pro Snowboarder for the Game Boy Advance, Loose Cart. Now this is actually the first time I brought a GBA game in about 3-4 years. I literally hardly ever collect for, I hardly collect any handheld stuff really anymore. My handheld game collection is pretty tiny, and yeah, I just don't really collect for handheld systems anymore. But I did get this. This cost me about £2, I think. I could be totally off on the prices because it has been a while since I last brought these. And but it was fairly cheap. Sean Palmer Pro Snowboarder is a game I absolutely love, by the way. I own the PS2 version, and yeah, it's my favourite snowboarding game of all time. It's basically the snowboarding equivalent of a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Like, it has the same gameplay as Tony Hawk, but with snowboards. And yeah, it's a really underrated game. If you're a big fan of Tony Hawk and you love to play snowboarding games, give that game a shot if you haven't already. I mean, it is basically just Tony Hawk's Pro Snowboarding, but with Sean Palmer. But yeah, but here's the GBA version, which pretty much plays the exact same as the Tony Hawk games for the GBA, you know, the isometric ones. And yeah, it's pretty decent. Obviously not as good as the PS2 version, but I quite enjoyed it. I played quite a bit of that on a GBA emulator a few years back, and I had fun with it. Okay, so moving on to the next game, we have MTX Mototrax for PlayStation 2. Now this was a game I also wanted for quite a while, mainly because this game is technically the last Activision 02 game, even though it wasn't released under the Activision 02 brand, because the Activision 02 label was completely killed off by the time the game actually released. It originally was going to be an Activision 02 game. In fact, it was originally going to be called Travis, God, I forgot the dude's last name, Pro Moto X. And yeah, it was going to be one of the Activision 02 games, but by the time it came out, Activision, they completely dropped the 02 label, and they also changed the title as well to MTX Mototrax. So yeah, so even though it's not technically an Activision 02 game, it still kind of counts. You know, I still wanted it, just so I can officially, I guess, have a complete Activision 02 collection, although I already had a complete Activision 02 collection, because before buying this I did own all the games that were released under the 02 label. I even did an Activision 02 collection video a few years back. But yeah, this game unfortunately doesn't work properly on my system. The disc is actually really scratched on this. I'll show you that in a minute. And the seller didn't even mention anything about it being super scratched. I don't think he even bothered to test it, because this game literally doesn't work at all on my PS2. It gets to the first load screen and then just completely gives up. Like, it won't even go to the main menu. Like, that's how scratched the disc is. And I popped into my computer, because I've got the PS2 PCSX2 emulator, which can play PS2 discs. I popped it in there, and I was able to get the game to kind of work. I was able to create my own character, and I was able to get like the opening cutscene for the tutorial to load. But after that, it just completely gave up, you know. And even when I was like creating my own character and stuff, like the game was still like freezing quite a lot. It was stuttering, you know. The speed was all over the place, but that could mainly just be because of the emulator. Because that happens on pretty much every PS2 game I play on that emulator. You know, the speed constantly fluctuates, and yeah, so I'm gonna have to get a new disc for it. It's a real shame, because I really want to play this game, but I'm not too fussed. Even though I am still kind of pissed, I'm not too fussed, because I did mainly get this game just for the collection. I got it more for collection purposes rather than actually, you know, playing it. But still, it does annoy me, the fact that the game like literally doesn't work. But yeah, it is complete, as you can see right there. I'll quickly show you the condition of the disc. I don't know how well this is going to show up on camera, but yeah, it's pretty damn scratched. I don't think you can even see that at all. It's mainly light scratches, but there's so many that it literally renders the game unplayable. Oh, you can kind of see them. But yeah, it's literally like scratched to shit. It doesn't work at all on my PS2, which is such a shame. Even on the emulator, it struggles. But yeah, I'll have to get a new disc for that at some point. But yeah, there it is, MTX. Alright, then the next game we have here, another original Xbox game, Grand Theft Auto 3. Now, this is a game that I already own for the PS2. I've had the PS2 version of this since actually the summer of 2013. It was right before GTA 5 came out. That's how long I've had the PS2 version for. But I wanted to get the Xbox version of this, as well as the other GTAs for the Xbox, Vice City and San Andreas, because these are basically the true definitive editions of these games, at least on consoles. Because not only do they have better graphics compared to their original PS2 releases, but you know, these Xbox versions also have some exclusive features that weren't in the PS2 version. The main one being the custom soundtrack support, which was quite a big feature on a lot of original Xbox games actually. If you ripped a music CD to your Xbox's hard drive, some games, if they support it, you can actually play that music in the background of whatever game you're playing. So, for example, if you had the Vanilla Ice Hard to Swallow CD, you could copy all the tracks over onto your Xbox's hard drive, and then you could play all the songs in the background. So if you want to, you could be playing, say, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and have Too Cold play in the background, which is the new metal version of Ice Ice Baby. And if you've never heard of Hard to Swallow before, you probably don't know what the hell I'm on about, but Vanilla Ice, you know Vanilla Ice is right. He's like the OG white rapper, he did Ice Ice Baby. Well, he did a new metal album in the late 90s, and it's actually a pretty decent album actually, at least in terms of new metal sound. It sounds very similar actually to Limp Bizkit's debut album, $3 Bill Y'all, which makes sense because it was actually produced by the same producer as that album, Ross Robinson. But yeah, but anyway, enough talking about Vanilla Ice. GTA 3. So yeah, so I got the Xbox version right here. As you can see, the Xbox version has some custom artwork. And it's interesting that it doesn't even say like Xbox at the top here of the box. It only says Xbox on the spine, so that's the only way you would know that this is actually the Xbox version of the game. But yeah, it's got this cool custom artwork, as you can see. And this version of the game was only available through the GTA Double Pack on the Xbox, which had 3 and Vice City in it. You couldn't get these games separately. You could only get them through the Double Pack. But yeah, this is complete, as you can see right there. It is missing the map though, but it does have everything else, the manual, and of course the disc. Yeah, I do want to get the other GTAs for the original Xbox, Vice City and San Andreas. At the moment, I've just got GTA 3 for the Xbox. So yeah, and this cost me about £4, I think, if I remember correctly. And MTX, I think I forgot to mention the price of that, but MTX was about £3-4, I think. Alright, and then next up, we have a game that I've literally wanted for, not even bullshitting, over a fucking decade. Like, seriously, this next game I'm about to show you, I've wanted for such a long time. It's an original PlayStation game. And yeah, I've wanted this game for so damn long, and only recently did I finally get a copy. And that game is the original Dynasty Warriors for the PS1. This is a game I've literally wanted for so long. Ever since I first got into Dynasty Warriors, I've wanted to get the original game. You know, this is the original one-on-one fighting Dynasty Warriors, and it's actually the only one-on-one fighting Dynasty Warriors. This cost me £8, which is quite cheap actually, because this game usually tends to go around for about 15 to 20 quid, roughly, on eBay. Of course, the price fluctuates quite a lot actually. You can get the game for as low as like £5 or £6 or whatever, and some people are selling it for as high as like 40 fucking quid. I mean, it's one of those games that just like the prices are just totally random, honestly. But yeah, but I was able to get this game for only about £8. And yeah, I've wanted this game for such a long time, and I'm so glad I finally got it. I bought this game only like a few days after making my Dynasty Warriors collection video, and looking back, I wish I waited actually. I wish I waited just a few more days for this to arrive and then do the Dynasty Warriors collection video. But obviously it's too late now. But yeah, I'm so glad that I finally got this, because I've wanted this game for so many damn years. And it is complete. Yeah, got the manual right there, there's the disc. And yeah, this was the original one-on-one fighting Dynasty Warriors. Can't put the cover back. Oh, shit. Alright, I'll put this back properly in a minute. But yeah, finally, after all these years, finally got the original Dynasty Warriors. So happy to finally have that. Alright, and then the next game we have here is the first game I brought for a series that I really want to get into. It's a fighting series, and it's one that I haven't really had much experience with. I played the demo of a few of the games before in the past, but never actually played a full game in this series before. And that game is DOA 2, aka Dead or Alive 2 for the PS2. Now, the reason why I decided to start with DOA 2 rather than get the original Dead or Alive is because, well, I was looking online for like different lists and stuff and watching a few videos, and I wanted to see what like the fans were saying was the best DOA game. and the best one to start out with. And from what I found online, the general consensus, at least from what I found, seems to be that DOA 2 is considered the best one. Of course, some fans may say otherwise. Of course, people have their own different opinions, but from what I found online, looking through various lists and watching various videos, DOA 2 seems to be the fan favourite of the series. So yes, that's why I got this one first, rather than starting off with the original. I've played this quite a bit actually, and I actually really enjoy it. I've already beaten the game like 5 times already. I've beaten the story mode, which is really short in this. Like, I've literally beaten the story mode 5 times already in this game. I'm not even joking. Like, the story mode is really short in this game for some reason. You can literally beat it in like 10-15 minutes. And it's not really like much of a story mode at all, because there's like barely any cutscenes, and the cutscenes that are there just don't really make any sense. I mean, there's like not really like any sort of story at all. But yeah, but still, I still really enjoyed the game. You know, I really like the fighting mechanics and stuff. And I have played, like I mentioned earlier, a little bit of DOA before in the past. I played the demo for Dead or Alive Dimensions on 3DS and Dead or Alive 4 on Xbox 60. I played a demo for those two, but never actually played a full-blown Dead or Alive game until finally getting DOA 2. And I got this for really cheap as well. I only paid about like £1.50 for it, I think, or thereabouts. It was really cheap. And yeah, really like this game actually. And I'm looking forward to playing the rest of the Dead or Alive games. Got a complete right there. And yeah, really fun game that is. And the next game we have here is another PlayStation 1 game, and this is another PS1 game that I've wanted for a really long time, but not as long as I've wanted Dynasty Warriors. And that is Final Doom for the original PlayStation. Now this is a very interesting one, because this game, like Final Doom in general, I find is a really weird game, because it was a Doom game that was released in the mid-90s, came out about 2 years after Doom 2, but it wasn't really like a proper Doom entry. It was basically... the game was basically just a WOD compilation, basically a compilation of user-made maps, and id Software actually licensed and released it as a full game and called it Final Doom. And then they made a PlayStation version of it as well. And the PS1 version pretty much feels like an expansion to the PS1 version of the original game, the original Doom, the custom PlayStation edition that also has Doom 2 as well. And the reason why I say that is because Final Doom reuses all the same music and the same sound effects and stuff as Doom on the PS1. It's basically the only difference is that it has different levels. I mean, that's pretty much basically it. It's the same game, just with different levels pretty much. And yeah, and it's a fairly pricey game as well. I've seen copies of this go for, as high as like 50 quid, like used copies. Like, this game is, just like with Dynasty Warriors, is another game that fluctuates in price quite a lot. And this copy in particular I bought for about 13 quid. I got it complete. There's the manual right there, the disc. I haven't even tested this game out yet, but yeah. And it's also got this older version sticker on the front as well, which I don't know if you can see on the top there. It's got some numbers, which I think is a date, 5th of the 11th 96, 5th of November 1996. I think that's what it's supposed to be. And yeah, and it's also got the older the price as well. This was originally sold for 40 quid at one point in time, and yeah, which I assume is how much the game was when it first came out. Yeah, I was originally planning on actually taking that sticker off, but after realizing that sticker's probably been on there for over 25 years, I decided just to keep it, you know, because it's such an old sticker and it's been on there for so long. I decided, you know, just keep it, and that's exactly what I did. Alright, so the next game we have here, another PSP game and also another Neversoft game, Gun Showdown. Now this is basically the PSP version of Gun, which was Neversoft's 2005 Western shooter, which is one of my all-time favourite games, by the way. I absolutely love Gun. I own it for both PS2 and Xbox 360. Absolutely love that game. Still haven't beaten it yet. I'm stuck on one of the boss fights, but yeah, this is the PSP version of the game. This one actually has some exclusive features to it, mainly like multiplayer modes, which weren't in the original game. And I believe there's also some exclusive missions as well. Yeah, it even says right there, all new missions and weapons. So yeah, I mean, you still get like the same campaign as the original Gun on consoles, but this version of the game, it has some differences, like the graphics as well. The graphics are a lot like muddier looking on this than they are in the original, but still mostly the same game, with some additional features exclusive to this version of the game. And it is complete, as you can see right there. This cost me about £3.50, I think, and Yeah, I mainly wanted it just because I'm such a big fan of the original game, and you know, I wanted to own the PSP version. Plus, there's a portable version of Gun as well, so I could, you know, play Gun wherever I want to. So yeah, that's why I got that. Alright, and then the next game here, this is the one that I've by far spent the most amount of money on out of all the games I'm showing you in this video. This is the one I by far spent the most amount of money on. If you follow me on Twitter, you would probably already know that I bought this game because I actually showed a picture of it when I got it. But yeah, but this game is, oh my god, I spent a lot of money on this game. It's the most amount of money I've ever spent on a game for this particular console. And yeah, I'll just show it to you right now. It is The Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition for the GameCube. A game I've wanted for quite a while, not for like many years or anything like I have with some of these games, but this was a game I wanted to get for quite a few months actually. And I wanted it really badly because I've never played a Legend of Zelda game before. This is literally my first ever Legend of Zelda. I mean, I do also own Hyrule Warriors Legends for the 3DS, but that doesn't really count as a Zelda game, at least not a traditional one. And this game right here is a compilation and it has 4 Zelda games on it. You've got the original 2 on NES, so Legend of Zelda and Zelda 2 Adventure of Link, and you've also got the 2 N64 games, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and you also get a demo for Wind Waker as well. I thought this would be a good starting point for me for the Zelda series because, you know, you get the 4 classic games on one disc in this collection. And I know the N64 games on this collection have some problems, like there's some like audio glitches and stuff, and they're not perfect ports of the games. But still, regardless, I still wanted this collection because, you know, I've never played any of the Zelda games before. And this one has, you know, 4 of the probably the most well-known Zeldas on it, except for Link to the Past. Link to the Past is missing on this one. But other than that, you get the 2 NES games and the 2 N64 games on this one disc. And yeah, I spent quite a bit of money on this. I spent £27 in total. But for this game, that's actually quite cheap because this game usually, complete in box, goes for around about like 40 to 50 quid. So I was actually lucky that I was managed to get for under 30 quid complete as well. In fact, this actually came with 2 manuals, believe it or not. Got the other one right here. Yeah, my copy legit came with 2 manuals. And yeah, I don't know what to do with this other manual. I might just like sell it or something because even the manual on its own is really expensive. Like literally just today I was checking on eBay and someone was selling literally just the manual on its own for like 20 quid. But yeah, really happy to finally own this game because I've wanted it for quite a while. It's got an annoying CX sticker on the corner, which I still haven't peeled off yet. But yeah, but regardless, I'm so happy that I finally own this game, my first true Legend of Zelda. I have only played the 2 NES games on here. I tested the game out for a little bit, played a bit of the 2 NES games. I haven't tried out the N64 games yet, but I am looking forward to playing those. And also the Wind Waker demo as well. Really happy to finally own this. My first proper Zelda game. Alright, so then we've got 2 more games to go through. Both of these are PS2 games. This first one actually is the cheapest game that I brought out of all of these, and it's also the only import game that I brought recently, and that is Sengoku Musou, or Samurai Warriors, for the PS2. Yes, this is a Japanese PS2 game, and yes, it is the Japanese version of Samurai Warriors, the original Samurai Warriors on the PS2. Now, why did I decide to buy this? Because this game was released in Europe and North America. Why did I decide to buy the Japanese version? Well, simply put it was stupidly cheap. Like, this was really cheap. You want to know how much I paid for this? Do you want to know how much I paid for it? 1p. 1p is how much I paid for this. I shit you not. I got this game for 1 penny. 1p. I didn't even have to pay for postage. Postage was free. So literally I only paid 1p for this game. And literally, like, that was the main reason why I bought it, was just because of how cheap it was. If it was anything more, like if it was say like £1 or something, I probably wouldn't have bothered. But because it was 1p, I was like, fuck it, you know, I put in a bid. No one outbidded me, surprisingly. I was the only bidder on it. And yeah, and I ended up winning it. And it's complete as well. Look at that. Got the disc and manual. Like, it's complete. And the disc isn't like scratched up or anything, you know, it works perfectly fine. Of course, at some point, I would like to get the European version of this game because I want to play it, you know, properly on my PAL PS2. I'm going to keep this as just a collector's item, really. And obviously, later down the line, I will get the European version of Samurai Warriors and, yeah, and actually play it properly. But, yeah, 1p is all I paid for this game. 1p. Crazy. It's actually insane. I think that's probably the cheapest game I think I've ever purchased in my life. I don't think I've ever bought a game that cheap before. Alright, and then last but not least, this game literally just came in the post today. Like, as of me filming, this literally just came today. It's another PS2 game. This one is PAL though. And it's also another Tony Hawk game. Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam for PS2. This is a Tony Hawk game I've actually never owned before. Like, Downhill Jam was on multiple different platforms. The Wii, the DS, Game Boy Advance, PS2. And I've never owned any version of this game before. This is literally one of the few Tony Hawk games that I've actually never owned before. Until now. I finally got my hands on the PS2 version. I wanted this for a really, really long time. Especially because this was the only Tony Hawk on PS2 that I was missing. And now that I have this, I officially own every Tony Hawk game for PS2. I've got a complete set for the PS2. And yeah, and this game is really interesting because this was a spin-off game, not made by Neversoft. It was actually the first Tony Hawk game to not be made by Neversoft. And this was back when they still were making the Tony Hawk games. This is a spin-off game that's actually a downhill racing game with skateboards, made by a totally different developer. And it's quite an interesting game actually. And I also managed to get it for cheap as well. PS2 version of this game is actually surprisingly expensive. For some reason this goes for around about like 15 quid complete in box. I don't know why, especially because it's really cheap on the Wii. But on the PS2, which was the version that I really wanted, it was, like 15 quid or thereabouts. But luckily, I managed to get this copy for under 3 quid actually. I got this for £2.59 exactly. However, unfortunately, there is a catch to it. There is a reason why it was that cheap. And that's because, similarly to MTX, the disc is fucked. So let me just quickly show you this. Now luckily, unlike with MTX, the seller actually did test this one out and he actually put in the description that I had issues. But this one, I don't know what you can see, the disc is very scratched up. Very, very scratched up. Again, I don't know how well you can see that, but yeah, there are some really deep scratches on here. And because of that, it doesn't really work. I did test it out on my PS2. Literally doesn't do anything. It just comes up with a blank screen. Test it out on my emulator. Did actually get it to work, but it kept doing the same thing as MTX, where it was stuttering quite a lot, and my computer was struggling to read the disc. But I was able to actually at least play a little bit of it. But on my PS2, this just flat out doesn't work at all, which is such a shame. And that's why the seller was selling it for so cheap, was literally because the disc is, the rest of it is perfectly fine. It's got the manual and everything. This bit of the case is broken off, but and the front is a little bit grubby. But other than that, it's still in pretty decent condition. But it's because the disc was so scratched is why he was selling it for so cheap. Because I guarantee if the disc wasn't scratched to shit, this probably would have been about like 15 quid. So yeah, it sucks that the game doesn't work. Hopefully one day I can get like the disc resurfaced or something. But yeah, for the time being, it only kind of works on my emulator and doesn't work at all on my PS2. Literally, if I try to put it on my PS2, it just comes up with a complete blank screen. In fact, I might even show you actually what happens when I actually put this in my PS2, because it literally doesn't do a thing. Like, it doesn't even load like any of the opening like intros or the Activision logo or anything. Literally, it's just a total blank fucking screen. Like, I'll show you right now. Okay, gonna quickly pop the disc in and I'll show you this running on my PS2 and it literally not doing anything. So power on, start up. Literally it just comes up with a blank screen. I'm not even joking. Like, you can hear it still spinning, but nothing happens on screen, look. Oh, no, wait, no. Holy crap, that's the first time, I'm not even joking, when I tried this off camera earlier, it literally didn't do anything, it just came up with a blank screen. I'm not even joking, this never happened before when I tried this out earlier. This literally never happened before, it just came up with a black screen. The seller actually pointed this out on the original eBay listing. He actually pointed it out and said like the game just doesn't work past this screen. But oh my god, I'm not even joking. When I tried this out earlier, it literally just had a blank screen. Like literally nothing came up at all. Okay, and now it's just totally stuck. You can hear it's trying to read it, but it's struggling at the moment. But yeah, literally, like the first time I tried this disc out on my PS2, literally nothing came up. Like it was reading it, but the screen was just totally blank. But anyway, so that was my faulty copy of Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam. And And there's also all the stuff that I've brought on eBay. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed showing you some of the games I purchased recently through eBay and Amazon. And yeah, I might do this again in the future actually if I get more games online. I might do like another one of these if you guys enjoyed this one. But anyway, so with all that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, and peace. And I'll see you guys in the next video.